Hi, my name is Casey Whittier. I am an assistant professor at the Kansas City Art Institute in ceramics and social practice, but most importantly, I am currently serving as an Artaxis board member. I realized that I didn't actually know the full definition of industry, so I decided to start here. What I found is that the idea of systematic labor or diligence in a pursuit or a steady or habitual effort really resonated with my practice, which was actually kind of surprising to me because, I work from a home studio. I work primarily alone. I don't use particularly fancy tools. And so I find it really exciting to kind of think about how even a practice like that has these links. I currently live in the Kansas City area, and most of my time outside of the school year is spent in rural parts of the Midwest. 2 years ago, I spent part of my summer with the National Park Service at Homestead National Monument in Nebraska, where I had the opportunity to research agricultural innovation, including tools and chains and patents for barbed wire. The idea of chains or systems that link together is really interesting to me, in part, I think, because I love considering what the earliest human-made chains could be. I hope it was people holding hands. But also I see this history of linking and looping things together as a way to explore a variety of craft histories, with discussions about objects, cultural values, gender, and human relationships to time and place embedded. At Homestead, I decided to recreate barbed wire just to make my hands move in the same motions that someone would have when hand twisting their wire. And I didn't find what I was looking for artistically in this, but I did recreate a lot of things, and it led me to see these textiles that I had always admired and collected as being sort of like links and twists in chain and barbed wire. My work uses recognizable objects and forms that are not made of clay. Traditionally, the structure of the clay calls up ideas of impermanence and fragility. This particular piece is called Anything But Forever, Mead's milkweed, which is an endangered species throughout much of the Midwest. The shape is a loose reference to a wastebasket. And the open structure was taken from looking at tire chains for agricultural equipment, which are precisely the machines that contribute to the struggle of the milkweed. This piece is called Longest Flight, Greatest Chase, and it's about the flight and the plight of the monarch butterfly. I see this as both an object of desire, that desire to catch something beautiful and fleeting, but also as an object of potential destruction. The monarch's population has been in steady decline, and scientists' best recommendation is that we plant milkweed in our own yards and raise and release monarchs. For me, chainmail carries with it the idea that it is made for the protection of something from something. It's also a system that doesn't have any single cultural origin. Chainmail was developed in a variety of different cultures independent of one another around the same time. Traditionally, chainmail would have been made by a metal worker, historically a man, and historically women would have been the ones to make domestic textiles. So ideas about labor and gender and value are on my mind in the studio. This piece, titled My Promise, is based on my antique hand-embroidered pillowcase, and that title is both about my own ritual of kind of making promises to myself and thinking of big things right as I'm trying to fall asleep, and about this sort of ongoing question of what it means to be called a promising young woman. I always found that term seemed to come with a lot of expectations, outside expectations. So this particular piece is called My Prison. It was made as a partner piece, and it's taken from the pattern of a bed sheet. The idea about this, title, My Prison, is also somewhat linked to my thoughts not only about having to live up to expectations of others, but also about my own expectations in my art practice, because the commitment to labor and time and an artistic vision when you make work like this can really make you feel like a prisoner. The making of it itself spans everything from complete meditation to absolute torture. But there isn't any trick to this process. Each link starts as a coil, is cut, and linked again. In this system, every circle gets linked 4 times. So you can love it or hate it, but I hand mix my clay. I can use color without using glaze because of this. And I do occasionally construct my pieces in smaller segments and then link them together. Other times I construct the whole piece and fire it at once. But you can see this is actually my prison before firing. So many changes happen in that kiln. Lately I've been thinking about this system as a way to mimic other recognizable forms that have relationships to the body and to ideas of protection. This piece is called Mystic Skeptic, and it's about didactic tools and magic. I think of these objects as being simultaneously humorous and serious. This is a replica of my backpack. It's called Something to Carry My Guilt In. And although we still call this a backpack, it doesn't meet really any of our functional expectations about what a backpack should be. And I think I'm interested in these really mundane objects that can be found everywhere, partially because it means that when people come to my work, they bring with it their own associations and experiences that they've had with similar objects. I think that's where the power of these objects really is. Although I've sort of made them strange through material and process, they're still recognizable, and they're still able to conjure up ideas and memories and others. In making them, I do feel like I'm engaging in a variety of different histories and bringing them to the present, but also in this idea of industry. All that time and all that labor feels significant to me in understanding the physical and metaphorical potential of these objects as storytellers. And it feels significant in understanding my own relationship as an artist to material, culture, craft, history, the present, and industry. Thank you.